You call this food? My dog wouldn't eat this garbage. Richard Thornton held up the plate. Coq au vin, 4 hours of work, and dumped it in the trash. 42 diners stared. Marcus, I don't pay you to cook like you're back in some hood kitchen. This is a $200 a plate restaurant. Do you understand what that means? Standards. Marcus Hayes, 42, 18 years at Bordeaux, stood silent. Fists clenched. Yes, chef, I'll redo it. Richard wiped his hands on Marcus's towel, dropped it on the floor like a used napkin. Good. And next time, remember, you work for me now, not my dead uncle. The kitchen went silent. DeAndre, the young line cook, stared at his shoes. Nobody moved. Marcus bent down, picked up the towel, folded it, placed it on his station. Then he smiled. Just for a second. Understood, chef. What Marcus did 3 nights later at 3 a.m. changed everything. 6 months earlier, Bordeaux restaurant had been a different place. Antoine Mercier, 68, white hair, hands that still moved like a conductor's, would stand at the pass calling orders in French and English. The kitchen smelled like butter and wine and fresh thyme. The staff meal was family style at 2:30, everyone eating together. Antoine always saved Marcus the best cut of steak. You're not just my sous chef, Antoine had said once, arm around Marcus's shoulders. You're the heart of this kitchen. When I'm gone, this place is yours. You've earned it. Then Antoine had a heart attack in the walk-in cooler on a Tuesday morning, dead before the ambulance arrived. The funeral was on a Friday. By Monday, Richard Thornton, Antoine's nephew, 29, MBA from Wharton, 0 cooking experience, walked through the door with a leather portfolio and 3 men in suits. I'm the new owner, Richard announced to the staff. We're going to modernize, streamline, maximize profitability. Marcus stood in the back, still wearing the black suit from the funeral. Richard's first week, he fired Claudia, the 60-year-old Latina pastry chef. Too expensive. Second week, he replaced the fresh fish supplier with Cisco Frozen. Better margins. Third week, he cut the staff meal. Your employees, not family. Marcus watched it happen, watched the kitchen empty out, watched Richard sit in Antoine's office, now repainted gray, making phone calls about flipping the property. But Marcus stayed. He had Nia's tuition. He had rent. He had 18 years of his life in these walls. And every day, Richard made sure Marcus knew exactly where he stood. Week 4. Marcus was breaking down a duck. Marcus, did you actually go to culinary school? Or is this just street knowledge? Culinary Institute of America, chef. Class of 2005, top 15%. Huh. CIA, impressive. I'm just surprised they teach French technique to people like you. Yes, chef, week 7. Week. Marcus had made a beurre blanc with a touch of smoked paprika, something Antoine used to love. This sauce is too ethnic. Our clientele expects classic French, not whatever fusion experiment you're doing. It's a 1/4 teaspoon, chef, just to add depth. I don't care if it's a grain. This is Bordeaux, not some soul food kitchen trying to play upscale. Remake it. Marcus poured it down the drain. Started over. Week 9. Richard hired Chef Brandon, 24, white, 6-month online culinary program. Marcus, I want you to report to Brandon. He's going to help us modernize the menu. Chef, I've been cooking French cuisine for 18 years. And Brandon has fresh ideas. Maybe you can learn something. Marcus taught Brandon how to make demi-glace, how to temper chocolate, how to bruise without cutting himself. 3 weeks later, Richard promoted Brandon to innovation lead with a salary higher than Marcus had ever made. Week 14. Richard stood over Marcus's station, watching him make pâte à choux. Marcus, are you sure this is right? It seems complicated. It's the classic method, chef. I just think we should keep things simple. Our customers aren't looking for show-off techniques. DeAndre, working the next station, bit his tongue so hard he tasted blood. By week 20, Marcus kept a leather notebook in his locker. Antoine's last gift, 3 days before he died. Inside, recipes, techniques, notes in Antoine's shaky handwriting, and a sealed letter. Open when you need me most. Marcus hadn't opened it yet, but he carried it every day. Richard noticed once. Cute little cookbook. You write your own recipes? It was Chef Antoine's. Oh, well, that's sweet. Sentimental. But you know what Antoine always said, never live in the past. Antoine had never said that. Not once. Week 23. Richard scheduled a VIP investor dinner for Friday. Marcus overheard him on the phone. Yeah, we're cleaning the house. Getting rid of the old guard who think this is still 1985. The location's worth millions. The food? Who cares? It's about real estate. Marcus stood in the walk-in, hidden behind the milk crates, hands shaking. That night, he sat at his kitchen table, opened his laptop. Bank account, $3,000. Nia's tuition, $8,000, due in 2 weeks. He picked up Antoine's notebook, ran his fingers over the leather. The sealed letter practically glowed. Not yet, he thought, but soon. That night, 11 o'clock, Marcus sat at his kitchen table staring at the severance package. White envelope, his name printed, 3 months' salary inside. The price of his silence. Nia came home from class, saw him there, the envelope unopened. Dad, what happened? Marcus told her everything. The trash bin, the humiliation, the offer, the deadline, Friday. Nia's hands balled into fists. You should sue him. That's discrimination. Baby, the world doesn't work like that. Not for people like us. So you're just going to quit? Let him win? Marcus looked at her. 19 years old, his daughter, his reason for everything. She had his eyes. She had her mother's fire. I don't know what I'm going to do. Nia left the room. Marcus sat in the quiet. The severance envelope, Antoine's notebook beside it. He picked up the notebook. Leather worn soft, pages thick with Antoine's handwriting. He'd carried it 6 months and never opened the sealed letter in the back. His fingers found it now, tucked against the back cover. His name in Antoine's shaky script. He broke the seal. Marcus, if you're reading this, something has gone wrong. Richard probably inherited the restaurant. He's my blood, but he doesn't understand what we built. In the walk-in behind the milk crates, there's a locked box. Code 0324. Your daughter's birthday. Inside are my master recipes. The dishes I was saving for when the world was ready. Cook them. Not for Richard, not for critics. For yourself. For the people who need to see that excellence has no color. Cook them in our kitchen. Use my key. It's in this envelope. Come at night. Cook like your life depends on it. Because, Marcus, someone's life does. Someone out there needs to see you shine. Make me proud. Antoine. Marcus's hands shook. He reached into the envelope, found the key. Small, brass, familiar. The back door key to Bordeaux. Nia returned, stood in the doorway. Dad, what is it? Marcus looked up. For the first time in 6 months, something shifted in his eyes. I'm going to cook. 1 o'clock in the morning. Marcus couldn't sleep. He sat at his laptop in the dark, the key next to his coffee mug, Antoine's letter smoothed flat on the table. He typed Simone Cartier into the search bar. Food critic. National Culinary Review. 22 years in the industry. Her reviews could make or break restaurants. 3 months before Antoine died, she'd written a piece about Bordeaux. One of the last true artists in American cuisine. Antoine Mercier doesn't just cook. He creates memories. Marcus scrolled through her articles, found one from 2 weeks after Antoine's funeral. A tribute. The industry lost more than a chef. We lost a guardian of something we're forgetting. That food is not a product, it's soul. He clicked on her contact page, stared at the email address. What was he doing? This was insane. She wouldn't respond. She'd think he was crazy. Or worse, she'd tell Richard. But Antoine's words echoed. Someone out there needs to see you shine. Marcus opened a new email. Ms. Cartier, you know Chef Antoine Mercier. There's something you need to see. Come to Bordeaux Restaurant 3 a.m. this Friday. Use the back door. Come alone. I know this sounds strange, but Antoine would want you there. Marcus Hayes. His finger hovered over send. If she came, everything would change. If she didn't, he'd be cooking in an empty kitchen at 3 in the morning, risking his job, his future, everything, for nothing. He thought about the trash bin, the towel on the floor, the way Richard's voice carried across the dining room, the way the mother at table 12 had looked at her daughters, gathering her purse, leaving early because she couldn't watch anymore. He thought about Nia, about the tuition he couldn't pay, about 18 years in a kitchen that used to feel like home. He thought about Antoine's hand on his shoulder. You've earned it. Marcus clicked send. The email disappeared into the void. No turning back now. He picked up the key, turned it over in his palm. Friday was 3 days away. He needed a plan. Needed to see what was in that locked box. Needed to know if Antoine's recipes were real or just a dying man's fantasy. Tomorrow night, 2 a.m. He'd go to the restaurant, see what Antoine left him, and then he'd decide if this was courage or suicide. Wednesday, 2:45 in the morning. Marcus sat in his car in the alley behind Bordeaux, engine off, lights dark. The street was silent. No cars, no people. Just distant traffic and a siren blocks away. He'd been sitting there 20 minutes, the key in his hand, trying to convince himself this wasn't insane. Breaking into a restaurant, cooking without permission. If Richard found out, Marcus would be arrested. His daughter would visit him in lockup instead of going to college. But Antoine's letter sat folded in his pocket, and the locked box was waiting. Marcus got out of the car. The back door opened silently. Antoine had oiled these hinges himself. Marcus stepped inside and locked the door behind him. The kitchen was dark except for emergency exit signs casting red shadows. He stood there, letting his eyes adjust, breathing in stainless steel and fryer oil and the ghost of 1,000 services. He flipped the switches for the line lights. Soft white glow just enough to work. The walk-in door opened with a pneumatic hiss. Cold air spilled out, fog rolling across the floor. Behind the milk crates, just like Antoine said, he moved them aside, found the box, metal shoebox-sized combination lock, 0324, Nia's birthday. The lock clicked open. Inside, a leather folder, thick and worn. Marcus lifted it out, hands trembling. Recipes, 12 of them. Handwritten in Antoine's careful script, each titled and dated. Not menu recipes. Something else. Personal. Secret. Roots. Bouillabaisse with West African spice blend. Migration. Duck confit with sweet potato puree and bourbon bacon jam. Inheritance. Braised short rib with collard green reduction. Truth. Pan-seared scallops with cauliflower puree. Hope. Chocolate sphere with passion fruit and cardamom. And next to each recipe, notes in the margins. For your grandmother. For the people who say we don't belong. For everyone who was told they weren't enough. Marcus's vision blurred. He wiped his eyes. At the bottom of the folder, these are yours now. Cook them when the moment is right. This is the moment. He carried the folder to the prep station. Opened to the first recipe. Roots, the bouillabaisse, traditional Provençal fish stew. But Antoine had added berbere spice blend, grains of paradise, smoked paprika. West African flavors meeting French technique. The ingredient list, frozen shrimp, the small ones Richard called trash. Cod scraps, pieces usually thrown away. Mussels, the bag, Richard said, were too small for fine dining. Everything Richard had rejected. Marcus smiled. He pulled out his phone, set it on a shelf angled toward the station, hit record. If he was doing this, he needed proof. 2:55 a.m. He started cooking. The shrimp first. Tiny, but fresh frozen, decent quality. He peeled them, deveined them. The cod scraps he checked for bones. The mussels he rinsed, discarded any that didn't close. In a wide pot he built the base. Olive oil, fennel, onion, garlic. The smell filled the kitchen, rich and sweet. He let them sweat, not color. Added tomato paste, let it caramelize. Poured in white wine, reduced by half. Then the spices. Saffron, traditional. Then the berbere, grains of paradise, smoked paprika. Just enough to add depth, warmth, something unexpected. The broth simmered. Marcus tasted it, adjusted. Salt. More acid. Lemon juice. Perfect. He added the seafood. Shrimp curled pink. Cod turned opaque and flaky. Mussels opened, releasing brine. 5 minutes. He plated it in a wide bowl, arranged the seafood carefully, ladled the broth over top, garnished with micro cilantro from the walk-in. Then he stepped back. Beautiful. Not just good. Beautiful. The kind of dish that told a story. Marcus took photos from every angle, then sat down, picked up a spoon, tasted. The flavors hit in waves. Sweet brine of mussels, tender shrimp, flaky cod, and underneath the warmth of berbere, complexity of grains of paradise, gentle smoke. His grandmother's kitchen in South Carolina, Sunday dinners, collard greens and cornbread, and Antoine's kitchen, the precision, the technique, the respect, 2 worlds meeting in one bowl. Marcus closed his eyes, touched the folder, whispered, "Thank you." He cleaned everything, washed the pot, bowl, spoon, put ingredients back exactly where he'd found them, wiped down every surface. By 5:30, the sun was rising. Marcus turned off the lights, locked the door, walked to his car. He drove home in silence, the folder on the passenger seat, photos on his phone, the taste still on his tongue. Thursday, 3 a.m. Marcus returned. Course 2. Migration. The duck confit. Richard had rejected the duck legs last week. Too fatty. Americans don't want dark meat. So they sat in the walk-in, waiting to be thrown away. Marcus pulled them out, trimmed them, scored the skin, packed them in salt and herbs, let them cure while he worked on other components. Sweet potatoes. The ones with bruises, the ones Richard said looked cheap. Marcus peeled them, roasted them, pureed them with butter and cream until they were silk. Bourbon bacon jam. Bacon ends from the walk-in. Onions. Brown sugar. Bourbon. He cooked it low and slow until it was dark and thick and sweet. The duck legs, submerged in their own fat, cooking at barely a simmer. 2 hours. The meat fell off the bone. He plated it. Duck confit, skin crisped in a hot pan, resting on sweet potato puree. A spoonful of bourbon jam. Microgreens. He photographed it. Tasted it. Again, that moment. That recognition. This wasn't just food. This was alchemy. Taking what was rejected and making it transcendent. Richard's words echoed. Too fatty, too ethnic, not good enough. Marcus looked at the plate. Michelin-worthy. As he cleaned, he heard a sound outside. A car. Headlights swept across the kitchen window. Marcus froze. Heart hammered. He killed the lights, ducked behind the prep station. The car slowed, stopped. Marcus held his breath. Then the car drove on. Just someone turning around. But Marcus's hands shook as he finished cleaning. Too close. One more night. Friday. The full menu. Then Simone would come, or she wouldn't. He left at 5:45, the city still dark, and drove home with photos on his phone and certainty in his chest that he was either building something beautiful or destroying himself completely. Friday, 2 o'clock in the morning. Marcus arrived at Bordeaux early. Tonight was everything. Simone was coming at 3, if she came. He had the full menu planned, 5 courses, each one telling a story. Each one proved that excellence didn't need expensive ingredients or permission, just skill, just the truth. He unlocked the back door, stepped inside, and frozen. The lights were already on. Not the line lights. The main overheads, bright white fluorescent, flooding the entire kitchen. And standing at the prep station, examining the walk-in inventory on his phone, was Richard Thornton. For 5 seconds, neither of them moved. Complete silence except for the hum of the refrigerators. Richard looked up, saw Marcus in the doorway, wearing his chef's coat, carrying his knife roll. "What the fuck are you doing in my kitchen?" Marcus's heart slammed against his ribs. His mouth went dry. Every instinct screamed, but he didn't. "Cooking," he said quietly. Richard walked toward him slowly, like a predator circling. "Cooking. At 2 in the morning, in a restaurant you don't own, using a key you shouldn't have. Chef Antoine gave me that key. Antoine is dead." Richard's voice was cold, flat. "And everything he owned is mine now, including this building, including that key, including you." He pulled out his phone. "I should call the police right now. Breaking and entering. Theft. You'd be in jail by sunrise." Marcus stood his ground. "I haven't stolen anything." "No?" Richard walked to the prep station, saw the leather folder, Antoine's recipes. He picked it up, flipped through it. "What's this?" "Antoine's personal recipes. He left them to me." "Left them to you?" Richard laughed, sharp and bitter. "My uncle left you recipes. How touching. Did he leave you the restaurant too? Did he leave you anything that's actually worth something?" He dropped the folder on the counter, looked at Marcus with something between pity and contempt. "Let me tell you what's going to happen. You're fired. Effective immediately. And if you fight it, if you make any noise, I will press charges for trespassing and theft. Do you understand?" Marcus said nothing. Richard pulled out his phone again. "I'm also calling a locksmith right now, changing every lock in this building. And if you come near Bordeaux again, I'm getting a restraining order." He started dialing. Marcus watched him. Watched the man who'd inherited everything Antoine built, who'd thrown away the staff, the quality, the soul, who was now about to throw away the last person who remembered what this kitchen used to mean. And in that moment, Marcus made a decision. "You're here at 2 a.m., he said quietly. Richard stopped dialing. "What?" "You're here. At 2 in the morning. Alone. Checking inventory on your phone." Marcus gestured around the kitchen. "Why?" "That's none of your—" "The restaurant is failing." Marcus's voice was calm, steady. "Revenue is down 40% since you took over. The investors are asking questions. The reviews are getting worse. And you don't know how to fix it because you don't know how to cook." Richard's jaw tightened. "Get out." "That's why you're here. You're scared." "I said get out. You walked in on me tonight because you couldn't sleep, because you know something's wrong and you don't know what it is." Marcus took a step forward. "But I do." Richard stared at him, and for just a second, Marcus saw it. Not anger, fear. "The problem isn't the ingredients," Marcus continued. "It's not the staff. It's not on the menu. The problem is you're trying to run a restaurant like it's a spreadsheet. But food isn't numbers. It's people. It's a story. It's soul. I don't need a lecture from the taste it." Richard stopped. Marcus gestured to the prep station. I was going to cook tonight. 5 courses. From Chef Antoine's recipes, the ones he never published, the ones he saved for when the world was ready. He looked Richard in the eyes. You want to call the police? Call them. You want to fire me? Fine. But first, let me show you what this kitchen can do. Let me show you what you inherited. Richard's hand was still on his phone. His finger hovered over the screen. Marcus pulled out the first recipe card, laid it on the counter. 30 minutes, he said. 1 dish. If you don't think it's worth your time, I'll leave. I'll sign whatever you want. No fight, no lawsuit, nothing. And if I do think it's worth my time, then you let me cook the rest. All 5 courses. And you taste every one. Richard looked at the recipe card, looked at Marcus, looked at his phone. The silence stretched. Then Richard put his phone in his pocket. 30 minutes, he said. 1 dish, then you're gone. Marcus nodded, turned to the walk-in, started pulling ingredients, and began to cook. Marcus moved through the kitchen like water, every motion practiced, precise, no wasted energy. Richard sat on a stool at the end of the prep station, arms crossed, face unreadable. Marcus didn't look at him, just cooked. The shrimp first. The small ones Richard had called trash, peeled, deveined, set aside, the cod scraps. Pieces are usually thrown away. Marcus checked them for bones with his fingers. Touch, don't guess. The mussels. Too small, Richard had said. Marcus rinsed them, discarded the ones that didn't close. The rest went into a clean bowl. He could feel Richard's eyes on him. Watching. Judging. In the wide pot, olive oil. Fennel, onion, garlic. The smell filled the kitchen, rich and sweet. Marcus let them sweat without color. The foundation. Tomato paste. He let it caramelize, darkening, concentrating. Then white wine. The pot hissed. He reduced it by half. Then the spices. Saffron first. Traditional. The threads blooming in the hot broth, turning it gold. Then the berbere. 1/4 teaspoon. Ethiopian spice blend, warm and complex. Grains of paradise. West African pepper, citrusy and bright. Smoked paprika. A whisper. Richard leaned forward slightly. Marcus saw it in his peripheral vision. The broth simmered. Marcus tasted it. Adjusted. Salt. More acid. Lemon juice. Tasted again. Perfect. He added the seafood. Shrimp, cod, mussels, barely bubbling. 5 minutes. The shrimp curled pink. The cod turned opaque. The mussels opened, releasing their brine. Marcus plated it in a wide white bowl, arranged the seafood, ladled the golden broth over everything, garnished with micro cilantro. He slid the bowl across the counter to Richard. 28 minutes. Richard stared at it, the colors, the composition. He picked up a spoon, hesitated, then tasted. His expression changed instantly. Shock. His eyes widened. He sat back, took another bite. The shrimp. Another. The cod. One of the mussels. Silence. Just eating. Just tasting. Finally, he put down the spoon, looked at Marcus. This is... He stopped. Started again. How did you... He couldn't finish. Marcus said nothing, just watched. Richard took another bite, closed his eyes. This is Michelin level, he said quietly. He looked at the bowl again, at the ingredients, the rejected shrimp, the scraps, the 2 small mussels. You made this from trash. I made it from what you threw away, Marcus said. Richard was quiet. His hand rested on the counter. His fingers drummed once, twice. Then he looked up. Show me the rest. Marcus turned back to the walk-in, pulled out the duck legs. the sweet potatoes with bruises, the bacon ends. Richard watched, silent now, not speaking, just observing. Course 2, migration. The duck legs, rejected last week as too fatty. Marcus trimmed them, scored the skin, packed them in salt, thyme, bay leaves, set them aside to cure. The sweet potatoes, the ones Richard said looked cheap. Marcus peeled them, cut them into chunks, tossed them with olive oil, into the oven at 400 degrees, the bourbon bacon jam. Bacon ends, the irregular pieces no one wanted. Marcus diced them, rendered them until crispy. Added onions, let them caramelize. Brown sugar, bourbon, vinegar, simmered until thick and dark. The duck went into fat, barely simmering, low and slow. 2 hours. Richard checked his watch. How long is this going to take? Good food takes time. I don't have all night. Then leave. Richard didn't move. While the duck cooked, Marcus prepped course 3. Short ribs, tough cuts Richard never used. Marcus seasoned them, seared them hard until dark and crusted. Into a braising pan. Red wine, stock, aromatics. Into the oven. Course 4. Frozen scallops, small, shoved in the back of the freezer. Marcus thawed them gently, patted them dry. Course 5. Cisco chocolate, the cheap stuff. Marcus tempered it carefully, patiently, formed it into thin spheres using a mold. By 3:15, the duck was done. Marcus pulled it from the fat, crisped the skin in a hot pan until it shattered like glass. The sweet potatoes he pureed with butter and cream until silk. Plated it. Duck leg, skin up. Sweet potato puree underneath. Bourbon bacon jam. Microgreens. He slid it to Richard. Richard cut into it. The meat fell apart. He took a bite. Closed his eyes. Jesus, he said quietly. Marcus plated course 3. Short ribs braised until tender. Collard green reduction. Cornbread crumble on top. Richard tasted it, said nothing. Just kept eating. Course 4. Scallops, seared hard and fast, golden crust. Cauliflower puree, white as snow. Brown butter drizzled over top. Richard took one bite, then another. Finished the plate. By 4 o'clock, Marcus plated course 5. The chocolate sphere on white. He poured warm passion fruit sauce over it. The sphere melted open, revealing mousse inside, studded with cardamom and gold leaf. Richard stared like it was magic. He took a bite, put down his fork. Marcus. His voice was different now, quieter, shaken. I've eaten at 3-star Michelin restaurants. This is better than most of them. Marcus said nothing. You did this with ingredients I rejected, things I was going to throw away. Yes. Richard looked at the 5 empty plates, looked at Marcus, really looked at him. My uncle left this to me because my father destroyed his restaurant in Paris. Antoine thought I could do better, thought I could learn. He paused. But I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. The admission hung in the air. And you've been here the whole time, watching me fail. Why didn't you just leave? Because this kitchen has a soul, Marcus said. Antoine taught me that. Souls don't quit. Richard was silent. Then he stood, walked to the door. Marcus thought he was leaving, but Richard just stood there, hand on the door frame, looking out at the dark dining room. That food critic, Simone Cartier. She's supposed to review us next week. If she sees what we're serving now, we're done. He turned back. Could you make this? For her? That's not how it works. What do you mean? You can't just copy dishes. The food is only this good because it comes from truth. You want this kitchen to sing, you need to let it be what it is. Richard was processing, overwhelmed. I don't know how. Then listen. For once, just listen." At that moment, the back door opened. Both men turned. A woman stepped inside. 60, white, short gray hair, sharp eyes behind wire-frame glasses. She took in the scene. Richard, Marcus, the 5 plates. "Well," she said, "this is interesting." Simone Cartier. She'd come after all. "Ms. Cartier," Richard jumped up from his stool. "This isn't... We weren't expecting..." Simone stepped fully into the kitchen, closing the door behind her. She set her leather bag on a clean counter. "I got an email. Someone said I needed to see something at 3 a.m. She looked at Marcus. "I assume that was you?" Marcus nodded. Richard's face went dark. Realization hit. "You planned this. You invited her here without telling me. I invited her to see what this kitchen can do. This is sabotage. You're trying to undermine me, make me look like..." "Gentlemen." Simone's voice cut through the tension like a knife. "I don't care about your drama. I'm here for the food." She gestured to the 5 empty plates in front of Richard. "May I?" Richard looked trapped, his jaw clenched, but he stepped aside. Simone walked to the prep station, examined the plates, picked one up, tilted it to catch the light, ran her finger along the rim where sauce had been, brought it to her nose, inhaled. "Who created these dishes?" "The recipes are Chef Antoine's," Marcus said. "I executed them." "And the ingredients?" "Standard inventory, nothing special." Simone looked at Richard. "You're the owner?" "Yes." "And you knew your sous chef could cook like this?" Richard hesitated. "We're still developing the menu." Simone's expression said she saw right through him. She turned to Marcus. "Chef Antoine told me before he died that you were the soul of this kitchen. I didn't understand what he meant." She paused. "Now I do." She pulled out her phone, started taking photos of the plates. Notes appeared on her screen, her thumbs moving fast. Richard watched, his face getting paler. "Ms. Cartier, I think there's been a misunderstanding. This was just an experimental..." "How long have you been cooking these recipes?" Simone asked Marcus, ignoring Richard completely. 3 nights, practicing. At 3 in the morning. Yes. Why? Marcus looked at Richard, then back at Simone. "Because during the day I'm not allowed to." The words landed like a bomb. Simone stopped typing, looked at Richard. "Is that true?" Richard opened his mouth, closed it. No words came. Simone put her phone away. "I've been a critic for 22 years. Paris, Tokyo, New York, everywhere that matters. What I saw in those plates, what I'm seeing in this kitchen right now..." She shook her head. "This is a story people need to hear." She picked up her bag, walked to the door, stopped. "Marcus, I'll be in touch. Soon." Then she was gone. The kitchen went silent, just the hum of refrigerators, the tick of cooling metal. Richard turned on Marcus slowly. The vulnerability from 15 minutes ago was gone, replaced by something cold and hard. "You humiliated me, in front of her. I showed her the truth." "The truth? The truth is you went behind my back, used my kitchen without permission, wasted my inventory. Your rejected inventory." "I don't care." Richard's voice rose. "You broke in. You conspired. You made me look like a fool." His hand went to his phone. "Here's what's going to happen. You're fired. Effective immediately. And if you fight it, I will press charges for theft and trespassing." Marcus stayed calm. "Antoine gave me that key." "Antoine is dead. I'm alive. This is my restaurant, and you're done." Richard was already dialing. "I'm calling a locksmith right now, changing every lock. And if you come near this building again, I'm getting a restraining order." Marcus took off his chef's coat, folded it carefully, The way Antoine taught him. 4 folds, crisp corners. He placed it on the counter, picked up Antoine's notebook. "That stays here," Richard said. "That's restaurant property. This was a gift. It has my name inside." The 2 men stared at each other. Marcus walked to the door, stopped, turned back. "You tasted it," he said quietly. "You know what this kitchen can be. You know what you're throwing away." Richard said nothing. "But you're more afraid of being wrong than being great, and that's why you'll lose everything." Marcus walked out into the early morning. The sun was just starting to rise, painting the sky purple and orange. He got in his car, sat there for a moment, the notebook on his lap. His phone buzzed. Text message, unknown number. "Marcus, this is Simone Cartier. We need to talk. Can you meet me? 11 a.m. Corner coffee shop on 5th. Come alone." Marcus stared at the message. Then he started his car and drove home. When he walked into his apartment, Naya was awake, sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop. "Dad, you're up early, or did you not sleep?" Marcus set the notebook down, sat across from her. "I need to tell you something." He told her everything. The letter, the recipes, the 3 nights of cooking, Richard catching him, the 5 courses, Simone arriving, getting fired. Nia's eyes went wide. "He fired you? After you cooked all that?" "Yes. But that's not fair. That's not—" "Baby." Marcus reached across the table, took her hand. "Life isn't fair, but that doesn't mean we stop fighting." His phone buzzed again. Another message. This time a different number. "Mr. Hayes, this is Catherine Morris, attorney for the estate of Antoine Mercier. I've been trying to reach you for some time. There's a matter regarding Chef Mercier's will that requires your immediate attention. Please call me." Marcus showed Naya the message. "What does that mean?" she asked. "I don't know." But something in his chest, something that had been tight for 6 months, loosened just a little. Maybe Antoine had left him more than recipes. Maybe the fight wasn't over yet. The coffee shop on 5th was small, old wood tables, the smell of espresso and burnt sugar. Marcus arrived at 10:50, 10 minutes early, ordered black coffee, sat by the window. At 11 exactly, Simone Cartier walked in. She ordered tea, sat across from him. "Thank you for coming," she said. "Thank you for last night." Simone opened her laptop. "I've been writing since I left your kitchen, 4 hours straight. I haven't been able to stop thinking about what I tasted." She turned the screen toward him. The headline, "The 3 a.m. Chef, How Bordeaux's Fired Sous Chef Cooked a Michelin-Worthy Meal from Scraps," Marcus read. His chest tightened. The article detailed everything. Antoine's death, Richard's takeover, the declining quality, the fired staff. And then, the discovery. A sous chef cooking in secret at 3 in the morning, using rejected ingredients, creating dishes that rivaled the best restaurants in the country. "I'm publishing this Sunday," Simone said. "Tomorrow. It'll be in the National Culinary Review, online and print. Richard will destroy me. Richard already fired you. What else can he do?" Marcus was quiet. Simone leaned forward. "Marcus, this isn't just about you and him. This is about what's happening in kitchens everywhere. Talented people being overlooked, being dismissed, being told they're not good enough when the truth is they're better than the people in charge." She closed her laptop. "I'm running this story, but I wanted to tell you first. Give you a chance to prepare." Marcus thought about Naya, about rent, about the lawyer's message still sitting unanswered on his phone. "There's something else," he said. He told her about the lawyer, about Antoine's estate. Simone's eyes sharpened. "Have you called her yet?" "Not yet." "Call her. Now." Marcus pulled out his phone, dialed the number. Catherine Morris answered on the second ring. "Mr. Hayes, finally, I've been trying to reach you for weeks. I'm sorry, I didn't... Never mind. We need to meet. Today, if possible. There's a provision in Chef Mercier's will that concerns you directly. What kind of provision? Not over the phone. Can you come to my office, 2 o'clock? Marcus looked at Simone. She nodded. I'll be there. He hung up, sat back in his chair. What do you think it is? Simone asked. I don't know, but Antoine was always 3 steps ahead. At 2 o'clock, Marcus sat in Catherine Morris's office. Leather chairs, law books lining the walls, the smell of paper and old coffee. Catherine was 50-ish, black, sharp suit, sharper eyes. She pulled out a thick file. Mr. Hayes, Chef Mercier's will has a secondary provision. Section 7.3. Are you familiar with it? No. Catherine opened the file. Read from the document. If Bordeaux restaurant undergoes significant decline in quality, reputation, or operational standards within 12 months of new ownership, Marcus Hayes shall have the option to purchase the property at the appraised value from the date of Antoine Mercier's death. Marcus stared at her. What? Chef Mercier anticipated this possibility. He knew his nephew. He knew what might happen. She pulled out another document. He also established a trust, $200,000, earmarked specifically for you to exercise this option if needed. Marcus couldn't breathe. $200,000. The appraised value at Antoine's death was $450,000. Current market value is close to $900,000. The trust covers half. You'd need to find investors for the rest. And the decline? How do we prove that? Catherine smiled, pulled out her phone, showed him an email. From Simone Cartier, sent 1 hour ago. Attached, the article pre-publication, plus documentation, revenue reports, health inspection scores, staff turnover records, Yelp reviews showing the decline. Ms. Cartier contacted me this morning, Catherine said. She thought this information might be useful. Marcus looked at the evidence. 6 months of Richard's management, documented in black and white. The numbers didn't lie. There's a deadline, Catherine continued. The option expires 6 months from the triggering event, which means we have approximately 3 weeks. 3 weeks to buy a restaurant. 3 weeks to save it. Marcus sat back. His mind raced. Even if I have the money, even if I can prove the decline, Richard won't just give it up. He won't have a choice. The will is legally binding. If we can demonstrate the decline clause has been triggered, the sale is automatic. He can dispute it in court, but... She gestured to the evidence. With this, he'd lose, and legal fees would bankrupt him. Marcus thought about Richard, about the fear in his eyes at 3 a.m., about the restaurant drowning in debt. He's already failing, Marcus said quietly. Yes, which means he might take the deal rather than fight it. Catherine pulled out a contract. This is a letter of intent. If you sign it, we notify Richard officially. Give him 7 days to respond. Either he accepts the sale, or we go to court. She slid the paper across the desk. Marcus stared at it. His name is typed at the bottom, at the blank line waiting for his signature. Antoine's voice echoed in his head. This place is yours. You've earned it. If I do this, Marcus said slowly, if I actually buy Bordeaux, I'll need staff. I'll need suppliers. You'll need allies, Catherine finished. People who believe in what that restaurant used to be. Marcus thought about DeAndre, about Claudia, the pastry chef Richard fired, about Maria and James and all the others who'd been pushed out, about the kitchen that used to have a soul. He picked up the pen, signed his name. Catherine witnessed it, stamped it. I'll file this today. Richard will be notified by Monday morning. Marcus stood, shook her hand. One more thing, Catherine said. Sunday, when that article drops, your phone is going to explode. job offers, interview requests, everything. Are you ready for that? Marcus thought about it, then smiled. I've been ready for 18 years. Sunday morning, 6 a.m. Simone's article went live. By 6:15, Marcus's phone started ringing. By 6:30, it wouldn't stop. Text messages, emails, voicemails, notifications flooding in so fast his phone froze. Naya came into his room, eyes wide. Dad, you're trending on Twitter. She showed him her screen. Memper 3 a.m. chef. Hashtag justice for Marcus. Thousands of tweets, climbing by the minute. The article had exploded. Food blogs picked it up. Local news. Local. Then, national news. By 9 a.m., Marcus had interview requests from Good Morning America, The Today Show, NPR. Job offers from New York, San Francisco, Chicago. A James Beard winner texted, "Name your price." The call that mattered came at 10. Richard Thornton. Marcus almost didn't answer. Let it ring 3 times, then picked up. You destroyed me. Richard's voice was raw. My investors are pulling out. My reputation is ruined. People are calling me racist, calling for boycotts. Marcus said nothing. I'll sue you. I'll sue her. You'll what? Prove everything in that article is true? Silence. What do you want? Richard's voice cracked. Money? I'll pay you to retract. I don't want your money. Then what? Check your email. My lawyer sent you something. Marcus heard typing, then silence. Long silence. You're trying to take the restaurant. I'm exercising an option your uncle left me. Is this legal? You can actually do this? Yes. More silence. Richard breathing fast and shallow. My uncle fucked me from the grave. No, Marcus said quietly. He protected what he built, and he knew you'd need protection from yourself. So you're just going to take everything? You can fight it, spend a year in court, spend money you don't have, or sell to me, take the money and walk away. And if I fight, you'll lose, and you know it. Richard went quiet. I need time to think. You have 7 days. Marcus hung up. 3 days later, Richard's lawyer called Catherine Morris. They wanted to negotiate. By Friday, they had a deal. Richard would sell. Marcus would pay the appraised value from Antoine's death, $450,000. The trust covered $200,000. For the rest, Marcus called the staff Richard had fired. Claudia, the pastry chef. James, the line cook. Maria, the sous. 8 people total. He offered them each a small ownership stake in exchange for investment and sweat equity. We built this together, he told them. The way it should have been. Every single one said yes. The signing happened on a Tuesday. Richard's lawyer's office. Papers spread across the conference table. Marcus signed. Richard signed. Neither man looked at the other. As Richard gathered his things, he stopped at the door. For what it's worth, that food was incredible. Marcus looked at him. I know. Do you think, if I hadn't been such an asshole, if I'd actually listened, we could have worked together? Marcus considered this carefully. Maybe. But you would have had to see me as a chef first, not a black chef. Just a chef. Richard nodded slowly, understanding something he'd spend years unpacking. Then he left. Marcus sat alone, the deed to Bordeaux in his hands, his name on the papers. He called Nia. Baby, come downtown. There's something I want to show you. An hour later, Marcus and Nia stood in front of Bordeaux. The old sign is still up. The windows are dark. Marcus unlocked the front door. They stepped inside. The dining room was exactly as he remembered. The tables, the chairs, the open kitchen in the back. Dad, Naya said softly, you did it. Marcus walked to the kitchen, ran his hand along the counter, the same counter where Antoine had taught him everything. On the wall, a photo, Antoine at the stove, younger, smiling. Next to him, young Marcus, 24, in his first chef's coat. Nia came beside him. "What are you going to name it?" Marcus had been thinking about this for days. "Bordeaux. We keep the name, but we add something." He showed her the mock-up on his phone. "Bordeaux by Marcus Hayes. A kitchen has a soul." Nia's eyes filled with tears. She hugged him tight. Marcus stood there, holding his daughter, in the kitchen that was finally his. Antoine's voice in his head. "Make me proud." "I will," Marcus whispered. "I promise." 3 months later. The dining room was packed. Opening night. Bordeaux by Marcus Hayes. Critics sat at corner tables. Locals filled the bar. The reservation list was booked solid for 2 months. Simone Cartier sat at table 12, the same table where that black mother had walked out 6 months ago. Tonight, another black family sat beside her. Father, mother, teenage son wearing a culinary school hoodie. In the kitchen, Marcus stood at the pass, calling orders. 2 duck, 1 bouillabaisse, fire apps for 7. DeAndre worked beside him as sous chef. Claudia ran pastry. James handled the line. Maria expedited. The rhythm was perfect. The kitchen hummed. On the wall behind Marcus, the photo of Antoine. And below it, Antoine's notebook in a glass case. The plaque read, "A kitchen has a soul. Antoine Mercier." During service, the father at table 12 asked to meet the chef. Marcus came out, wiping his hands on his apron. "My son wants to be a chef," the father said, "but he's scared. Thinks the industry isn't for people who look like us." Marcus looked at the boy. "What's your name?" "Terrell." "Terrell, can I tell you something? The kitchen doesn't care what you look like. It only cares if you show up, work hard, and cook with truth. Everything else is just noise." The boy's eyes lit up. "You want to stage here this summer? Learn the stations?" The father's eyes filled with tears. This was why Marcus fought. Not for revenge. For this. After service, 1 a.m., Marcus was alone in the kitchen, cleaning down the way Antoine taught him. He turned off the lights, all except one. The light over the pass. The heart of the kitchen. It stayed on. Every night. A beacon. The 3 a.m. light wasn't for secret cooking anymore. It was a reminder that excellence doesn't need permission, that talent doesn't wait for approval, that a kitchen lit up in the darkness isn't a crime scene. It's a lighthouse. If you were Marcus, would you have taken the risk or played it safe? There's one moment that changes everything. Rewatch and find the exact second Richard's face changes when he tastes that first bite. You'll see it. This story is for everyone who's ever been underestimated. Share it with someone who needs to remember their worth. Your talent doesn't need permission. It just needs truth. If this moved you, hit like. Share it with someone grinding in the dark. Subscribe, because every week we tell stories of people who refuse to stay small. Now go show them what you're made of.